Good afternoon, everybody. First of all, thanks for attending this session. I know it's a very tricky slot, 12 o'clock. I'm myself feeling a little hungry. But I hope me and my colleague Jayawant will make your next 30 minutes worth it. Obviously, we are in an event on e-procurement. So that is what we are going to talk about. But before I talk about our solution, let me first quickly give you an overview about our company. We represent Invenio Business Solutions, which is a fairly young company. We are just 8 years old. But what started as 3 people, 3 founders with £4,000 capital has grown into 420 people and more than 12 million turnover company today in less than 8 years. We have global presence, offices across UK, India, US, Germany, Mauritius, and now we have just opened an office in the Middle East. So we have a fairly good global presence. What we do is primarily SAP. So we are SAP experts effectively. That's what we do. And the solution that we are going to talk about is also an SAP-based solution. So the organizations which are using SAP today, I'm sure they will have something interesting to hear from this. Just a few awards and accreditations we have won. We have been in the Sunday Tech Track fastest growing companies for last 3 years. We have improved our ranking each year, and in this year we were on the 20th rank in the list, which means we are officially one of the fastest 20 tech companies in the UK. We also were part of the Deloitte Tech Fast 500, but I think more than all these growth awards, what we are more proud of is the awards we have won for our quality of delivery. So there are plenty of other awards we have won from SAP and from various organizations for our delivery and our customer focus effectively. And that's what we believe makes us successful. While working with several of our customers, about 3 years back, we came across a challenge for one of our customers. This is the largest music company in the world, and they were trying to implement an e-procurement solution, or in simple words, a vendor portal. When we started talking to them, we realized they had few challenges. And when we started talking to other people in the industry, different organizations, we realized those are the 3 common problems that most of the people are facing in the adoption of e-procurement. And what are those? The first thing is ability to integrate with your ERP and budgeting solution. See, purchasing is something which is quite intricately linked with your accounting system. Also, it has very strong links with your budgeting. Obviously, you need to control your spend with budgets. You need your reporting on that. Where are you in terms of your budgets versus spend, etc., etc. If you are going for standalone best of the breed solutions, you have to integrate them with your backend accounting package or the budgeting package. And this can be a real pain. I don't know how many of you have experienced it, but the amount of effort and money that you have to spend on integration is huge, first of all, the cost of maintenance, and even bigger is the cost of failure. So if one document fails, the impact of it on business can be big. The second problem we came across was inability to onboard the suppliers. And now there are 2 parts to it. One is the logistical issues, the cultural change from the suppliers, logistical issues in the sense being able to support onboarding of suppliers and able to support them after they're on board. But more important than that was our supplier network has now become very complex. We are dealing with suppliers across the globe who are operating in different currencies, different languages, and to find a solution which can cater to all of them is a challenge. Also, the licensing cost. If you have a large number of suppliers, how do you cover them for the licenses? That is also an important element, and in SAP parlance, some of the SAP solutions can be very expensive in this area. The third and equally important challenge was the user interface. Now this is from both sides. One is for the suppliers, because you would ideally want suppliers to have 0 training. If you want to make the previous point easier, onboarding of suppliers, if you have systems which require practically no training, that will make it easier to win suppliers over and get them onto your supplier portal. But even more than that, or probably equally important, is the user interface for internal users. because it is very complex and people hate filling tabs after tabs and fields after fields of unnecessary data. So is there a way to cut out all the weed and give a simple and specific solution which can benefit both? And that's when we came across a simple idea. We were thinking about a solution, and we thought if it is not simple, it is not the right solution. Well, this was actually said by our chief technology officer, who was the designer behind the solution. But unless it is said by one of these great people, people don't take these things seriously. So take your pick, whoever you want to pick it. This is the solution that we are going to talk about. So what we have done is we have put in the entire P2P solution in your SAP itself, SAP system itself. And we have given a portal on top of it, again using SAP native standard technology. For those little technically oriented, we use a concept called namespace within SAP to generate this solution. Now there are a few unique things about this solution. One, we are using the SAP secure portal technology, which allows you to expose this portal or expose effectively your system to the outside world without any fears of security. So this can be exposed to your suppliers without any real reasons to worry about hacking. The solution, when we implemented for this music company on an average gets 5 hacking attempts on their every public website, and they have managed to sustain with this solution. The second thing, now your P2P solution is within your SAP system. So what that means is zero integration. You need absolutely no integration in your in your purchasing process. Even when suppliers are creating quotations for you, they are raising invoices electronically on the portal. They are getting created directly within your SAP system without any interfaces. The third, another important point, everything resides on the single database. So there is no replication of data from one system to another system, then the discrepancies between the two, report showing different figures. When you draw a report, it's showing real-time data from the single database, giving you a single version of truth. It also reduces your database size requirements because you're not creating data in 2 systems and replicating them from one system to another. Finally, because we are using portal, it also gives the benefit to internal users. Because portal is a web-based system, because it is possible to port that into mobile devices using the new technology, even the internal users get easy to use, easy to access screens. You can get rid of all the fields that are not necessary. You can default the fields wherever necessary. You can have mobile approvals. We even have an iPad app for the users. So it just makes the acceptability of the solution easier within the organization. It also increases the smoothness of interaction in the whole processing process, in the whole purchasing process, and with interaction with your suppliers also. Having done this, we went back and took a feedback from this organization, and there were 5 top points which came out, which were the biggest objections earlier in the purchasing, the whole procurement and purchasing process. And we tried to see how we have addressed them. So the first one was, it's too much work. You go and visit your purchasing department or your purchasing officer, the thing they are complaining about is they are always busy. And it's quite logical why they are busy, because most of the time they are doing a whole lot of work that is non-value adding, first of all, and that they should not be doing. Now this is nothing unique. This is exactly the same thing that any vendor portal will do for you. You can basically put the onus of maintaining the supplier data back onto supplier, but the solution goes a little further. What we are now doing is asking the suppliers to raise the quotes in the system using the portal, and because it's on the same system, you're actually creating, or rather they are actually creating quotations for you in your SAP system. When they supply or deliver goods and services, they can post those good receipts in the system. Again, that comes into your system straight away. When they raise electronic invoices, they are again raising the invoices in your SAP system. So effectively, the whole data maintenance activity or data entry activity, which the purchasing department is forced to do, is taken care of. Beyond that, because it is integrated with your accounting system, it also takes care of all the accounting entries. The accountants, if any here, and by the way, they are good people. My wife is an accountant, so I can't say anything about that. But the accountants have a nightmare towards the month end or a quarter end when they have to match the GRNI accounts, or they have to chase purchasing people for the open purchase orders, the invoices which have not been paid off. The system provides you automation which forces users to take decisions then and there. So I'll give you an example later on in the next section, but it also basically reduces the work on the accounting side. It has a tight integration with budgeting, so whenever a spend happens, there is an immediate reflection of that in the budgets. So again, the whole work that is required towards the end of a period, and end of a month or end of a quarter, on creating those budget reports, matching those, and looking at the overspend and how that happened and why that happened, that all is taken care of by the automation. So obviously, using a solution like this, you can take up to 20% or up to 80% load off your internal staff. Just imagine how many hours that can free for your purchasing department. And then they could be involved in the activities that are really value adding, which is working with the suppliers, ensuring their quality is up to the mark, working with your internal organization to make sure that they are getting the right things in the right time. So that is what is the key benefit out of this. One more objection. I can already see many people smiling, but that's a very common thing. People have been saying this for 20 years. I hate these SAP screens, and especially in the purchasing department, because those guys are so busy. You have to churn over many purchase orders in a day. You have to process many invoices, and there are all kind of combinations possible in that. You have partial invoices, you have over invoices, so on and so forth. You have credit notes. How do we address that? So using Portal and using some of the other new technologies available in SAP, we can actually create a same and common user interface across various devices for the users. So not only do they have a simple, easy to use web-like interface for managing their daily procurement, we can also port it onto an iPad or a mobile device. As I said earlier, we can also reduce the number of fields that are visible to different people, different set of people. So an approver or a finance person doesn't need to see all the details of the bill of material or whatever it is. He is just interested in financial figures and who is the supplier, what are the payment terms, how much does it affect my budget, that's it. So you can actually customize, or actually customize is not the right word, you can actually configure those screens very easily to show exactly the information that is needed for various kind of people. What it also does is it makes it outsourcing friendly. So again, taking an example of this music company which implemented this, because it is so easy to understand and easy to use, they could outsource that function, the AP function, the whole of AP function for accounting entry or the invoice entry and processing of it to an outsourcing company, which also helped them in further reducing the cost. Just to give you an example, which I was talking earlier, if you have received a partial invoice and you want to process that against a purchase order, how many transactions you typically need to use, or how many screens you have to go through? Minimum 3. You have to first enter the invoice, match it with the invoice, then you realize it's a partial one. If there is a good receipt, you have to go in the good receipt screen and close that remaining good receipt. Then you go to the purchase order screen and close the remaining open PO. What we have done is, the moment there is a partial invoice, which the system recognizes simply by looking at the numbers, it immediately gives you an option saying, do you want to reverse the excess GR and close the PO? If the user is interested in doing that, all he has to say is yes. System does everything for you. All your accounting entries are in place, GRNI is in balance, and any possibility of this PO being misused later on, etc., is gone. So this is how not only it makes it easy for users to use it, it also makes sure that rest of the processes which need to happen in the back end are taken care of. Third, can I spend the money I don't have? Obviously you can't. And how does the system ensure that? A system has a full budgeting functionality. First of all, you can go to the extent of no budget, no spend. So if there is no budget available, you will not be able to create purchase orders, or you will not be able to pay invoice. And this is inbuilt, this is native to the system. Of course, it is optional. Not every organization can go to that level where you strictly spend any budget, if any spend if there is no budget. But there is a possibility within the system which will allow you to stop any kind of spend if there is no approved budget. The solution goes a step further and uses SAP's planning and budgeting functionality to even set your budgets. And there is a clear visibility of the budget across the life cycle of your project, or if you're using a cost center, then for the full year. And you can, at any point of time, you can see what is the proposed budget versus approved versus what is the committed cost, how much you have spent, how much is remaining, if there is any amount reserved for some specific things, that can be seen. So all is available at a click of a button. So this was a big benefit for the music company that we are talking about, because of the nature of the business, there is a lot of maverick spend that happens. They have a very large supplier network, and they have to procure services on ad hoc basis. And with the budgeting function tightly integrated, it reduced a huge amount of maverick spend which was happening without proper budget approvals. It also shows you with a simple traffic light indicator whether you are within the budget or over the budget, etc. One more thing, we get this all the time. An invoice gets paid, towards the end of the year, auditors come in and they start looking at the invoices and they say, by the way, who approved this invoice? Why did you pay it? And there is a big search mission then on who approved this invoice, how did it get paid? So within our solution, we have tried to put in all the checks and balances on compliance and control. So there is 4 I's principle is followed throughout the solution. We have tried to make it as SOX compliant as possible. The system keeps full track of any change that happens to a document, all the approvals, rejections that happen on the document. First of all, nothing can get approved or nothing can get posted in your system without a proper approval. So workflow is mandatory. If there is no approval, you will not be able to post an invoice or generate a purchase order. When that happens, the entire trail of that is maintained, which is accessible to auditors to see what is the history of this document. There's also a possibility of delegating the task. So if there is an approver who is going on holidays, he can or she can delegate the task to someone else, and the system even recognizes that and keeps the history and audit trail for that also. So these were some of the benefits. And finally, we asked this our customer, do you feel you have chosen the right solution? And they had evaluated some of the other solutions coming out of SAP's stable, and what they feel, and this is something that that is unique about the solution, is as compared to other solutions like Ariba and SRM, this is a very unique solution. SRM is, first of all, more complex solution, fairly heavy solution, heavy on licensing cost. As compared to that, SAP Invenio's solution is very light, very flexible. Ariba is, if you compare with Ariba, Invenio solution is built on SAP's native NetWeaver technology. There are no subscription costs, there's only one-time license cost. It's very secure, and Ariba is an open cloud, whereas with this solution you can have your own secure single tenant kind of a cloud. And just to give you an idea, the license cost is also literally a fraction of the cost as compared to the full-blown SAP license, because we are using the portal layer in between. But as I said, we are on the 5th floor, just opposite the tea coffee stall. So if you have any other questions or you want to discuss anything specific to your organization or anything, we are there for the rest of the day.